You're listening to A Conversation With, the podcast where each week I'm joined by a different guest and we have a conversation on a topic of their choice. My name is Jason, and this week we have once again another new guest. He's joining us from the Beyond the Box Set podcast. Please, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Harry Chappell, and like I say, I'm from Beyond the Box Set. My podcast, we pitch prequels, sequels, and spin-offs to films that don't have any.
And it's a very good podcast, much more professional sounding than this one, and has a really good intro. So even if you're not going to listen to a whole episode, just go on and listen to the first few seconds to get the intro, and then, you know, if you need to leave, you can. But I'd recommend staying for the whole thing.
Stop it, you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make you go easy on me for the rest of the conversation. So, Harry, what's your topic?
My topic this week is Scrubs TV show.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified TV show, and we weren't going to be trying to talk about
just clothing
for an hour or so, because that would be quite difficult. Scrubs, a TV show. I am very familiar with it. It's a great show. I hope that that's what you're going to be telling us, and not that you hate it and these are the reasons why.
Oh, has anyone done that? Has anyone come on and just moaned about something with you?
No, but there is a future guest booked in that is probably going to be moaning a lot about something. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, shout out to Becky if you're listening. I know you're eager to get on and vent, so don't worry, we're waiting for you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, what can you tell me about Scrubs? Can you maybe first just give us the premise in case anyone is foolish enough to be listening and has never seen an episode of Scrubs?
Okay, so Scrubs is a TV show that came out, started coming out in the early 2000s, I think. And ran for 8 seasons. It is about it's a medical sort of drama comedy, I guess, a dramedy.
Dramedy, yeah.
Got a brilliant cast of characters who very quickly sort of become just this family of friends, and you just see how their lives progress over 8 years. It feels a little bit like a sitcom, but it absolutely has a running plot.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose, but at the same time, you can kind of dive in on an episode and enjoy it. It's not like I missed the previous one, I'm not going to understand what's going on. I mean, sometimes
that can be the case, but yeah, you're right. Most of the time, no. I guess that's similar to Friends in that way.
Yeah, there are sort of, as you said, there is an overarching plot running through, but at the same time, there's a unique thing happening each episode.
Yeah.
Favorite character then?
Oh, right off the bat.
Let's start with the hard questions first.
I don't think it's a hard question. I think for me, it is a hard question. God damn it. They're all so good. I think Dr. Cox is the most interesting character.
Yeah.
And to answer a question I'm sure you may ask, he's also the best actor in this show by a very long way. Although he does get given all the best parts to act.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the rants that he goes on, I mean, to memorize, like, I don't know if he's doing it, if he's just coming up with stuff on the fly.
A lot of it's improv.
Yeah. Oh, they are insane. He just keeps going. He's an angry man.
Yeah. That's one thing. I love the improv in this show.
Yeah.
So I think most of the characters are improving a lot of the time. They're given quite a loose script. The most notable one is the janitor. Where almost everything that he says is just completely improv and not planned ahead in advance.
Yeah, he's a character that, like, I mean, you'll see the actor occasionally pop up in other things, and it just doesn't feel right.
No, God, it doesn't.
So, I mean, you'll see the others as well in other things, and it's kind of like, oh, yeah, it's right, I recognize him from Scrubs. It doesn't pull you out of it quite the same way as, what's he doing? Where's the mop?
So what else have you seen any of the characters in? Any of the actors in, I should say?
Well, I was thinking of him particularly. There's another American sitcom, The Middle, is it? I think it's called The Middle, and he's the dad in that.
I think I've seen a bit of that.
Yeah, I've seen the odd episode here and there. Obviously, Dr. Cox pops up in a lot of movies and things all over.
He's in Platoon, isn't he?
Yeah, possibly. Definitely. I know he's definitely in some... war movie. It's probably the best way to put it. I've definitely seen him, like, you know, in the Fatigues kind of thing. yeah, I think if there's and it's just mainly Zach Braff that you don't see too much of, I'd say.
It's been in a few things. I watched Garden State recently. I think we did it on Beyond the Box Set, which actually that's a passion project of his. Like he made that film.
Yeah, is that the one with Natalie Portman? I want to say.
Yeah, it is, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what an awful film! I just hated it so much.
Did you make a sequel for it?
Yeah, I did. Oh, I forgot what I did.
Okay, well, we'll have to go and investigate and find that.
I crossed it over with Stranger Things.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm
it's
gonna
like a sequel. Because there's the line in the film like "Good luck exploring the infinite abyss," and then Zach Braff goes "You too" or something. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, and I thought, oh, the infinite abyss. Let's just make that the Upside Down. Great. There's the sequel.
Oh wow, that sounds easy when you say it like that. I wonder why they didn't do it.
Oh god, it's not easy.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting because I feel like that. I mean, you've just said it was a bad movie. I'm feeling like that was a pretty general kind of opinion on that. Because was that the first thing he sort of did? Did he do that during Scrubs or that was post Scrubs?
I think it was during Scrubs. I'm not entirely sure. I'll look it up.
Too much research for this show. It's a bad habit you've gotten into on your podcast of having facts. We don't like those here. Yeah. Favorite episode then, while you're looking that up? Any that really jump out? I know that's a very difficult question, but
well, you say that, but it's between two for me. So one thing is the finale of Scrubs,
right?
Which is my all-time favorite series finale of any show.
Yeah.
I find it very emotional, and whenever I get there, whenever I've watched Scrubs all the way through, I'm currently watching Scrubs all the way through for like the 4th or 5th time right now, and I'm midway into the last season, so I know the finale's coming, and whenever that happens, I watch it, and then I need like 2 days to myself to just sort of
recover.
Yeah, recover. Then I watch it again, and then another day, and then I'll be all right to socialize again. I don't know why it hits me so hard.
Is it the scene when he's sort of saying why? What's it when he sort of leaves? It's the Dr. Cox scene that he's telling the other. Is it the squeaky voice girl? I can't try to think who.
Oh no, I can't remember who that.
Do you know what I mean? He's like saying about JD, like why he was such a good doctor. Is it that?
Yes, yeah. Well, it's everything in the episode. So there's that. There's saying goodbye to each character individually. Then there's just the famous scene of him walking down the corridor to the exit, and there's just all the B characters from the entire show, right back from season 1. And they've just got all these people back in for this one scene, and it's amazing. He gets to the exit and he stares. There's like this the sheet up, and there's in his mind there's a projector onto the sheet. And it's just showing his future for the next couple of years.
And he gets married to Elliot and
gets married. I'm not sure if she gets pregnant, has a baby or not. And he finally gets the hug from Dr. Cox that he's always been wanting. And his son Sam and Turk's daughter Izzy, they get together, and it's just an amazing finale because a lot of things, like say Friends for example. It finished with just what would be a normal season finale. They're just like, okay, and on to the next step, which is, Friends go through all the different steps of, two characters get together at the end of a series. Two characters get engaged. They get pregnant. They've had a baby. And the end of season 10 of Friends was just like 2 or 3 of those things all at once.
Yeah. It's almost like, okay, this is the end, but we're sort of leaving the door open anyway, and we could quite easily pick it up for another season and no one would really notice. Whereas this was a little bit more, I want to say a bit more final, even if then they did do something afterwards. But yeah, it's... No. Oh, by the way, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Scrubs.
Well, no one's listening to this and hoping for a spoiler-free review.
No, they better not be. Scrubs is it's one of like the few shows that my wife and I both really agree on. And when we first moved back to England, and we before we set up having the internet or any of that stuff, so we couldn't stream anything. We were we just had a TV with a DVD player, so we just bought all the seasons of Scrubs, and we were just watching Scrubs every day because what else would we do? So that was we're big fans as well.
I have had some great fun watching it this time round because it's been a few years since I last watched it, and I can really see how dated it is because the copy that I've got is a torrented copy, and so sometimes on the bottom of the screen there'll be little NBC adverts for other shows that are happening next week or whatever, but obviously 10, 15 years ago. And I was midway through like season 3 or 4 of Scrubs, and one of these adverts came up and it was like Friends finale next week. And I was like, whoa, that really dates it. Like Friends it's an old show now.
Yeah, it's already.
But I guess Scrubs is old too.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as old as Friends, though, does it?
No, it doesn't somehow.
And that's got to be to do with sort of how much Friends was on TV. At least,
yeah.
I can say at least here in England, it was sort of every day.
Yeah, well, it was the Big Bang Theory of its time, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was back when we had less channels as well. So
yeah, true.
They really monopolised Channel 4.
Yeah, God, they did.
But so the finale was one. You said there was another episode that
yeah, well, it's kind of I think it's like a 3-episode arc. It's at the end of season 5. If someone knows what I'm talking about, then you'll know how emotional it is. So it's an arc where Dr. Cox is, well, there's 3 patients who are all they all need like an organ transplant or something, and then one person comes in who's come in for a few times in previous seasons with some severe depression, and she comes in and she dies. JD blames himself for it and starts going down a big hole, just like, well, why am I a doctor if I can't notice that someone's depressed and treat them? Dr. Cox given this big speech of just like, hey, you can't go down that hole because then you'll never be a doctor again and you'll regret it for the rest of your life. So she dies, but her organs are good, and so they take her organs and put them in these 3 patients, 2 of which were on death's door, and one of them still had a few months or so. And then it turns out that the woman who died actually died of rabies, so it wasn't through JD's neglect. But it does then mean that those 3 patients had rabies, and in the course of one episode, all 3 of them died. And then Dr. Cox blamed himself for it. And despite JD saying, hey, don't do that, that's what you told me, he did it anyway. And then the next episode, it's pretty much just him sitting on a couch, sitting on his couch at home with an incredibly emotional face on. He doesn't say a word almost the whole episode. And then everybody comes in one by one to try and cheer him up, get him better. And it concludes with JD finally going in and giving him a speech about how impressed he is that after all these years, it can still hurt this much to lose patients and to blame yourself for patients. And then at that point he breaks out of it. The episode finishes where they're all at a bar, everyone's there, and JD's sitting by himself at the bar. Dr. Cox comes up behind him, pats him on the shoulder and says, "Thanks, JD." Doesn't call him a girl's name for, I think, probably the first time in the show.
No, Susan.
Yeah. And the whole episode, well, the whole little arc there, oh man. So this year, last month actually, I went on holiday for my birthday. I went to Nice, just by myself, and I stayed in a hostel. I did make a bit of a mistake the day before my birthday, where I went sunbathing for 4 hours and forgot to put suntan lotion on my face.
Ooh.
So there's a great photo of me with my face it's just completely red. It was awful. The next day was my birthday. I woke up, had just missed the free breakfast, went down and had 2 cups of really, really strong coffee, which turns out, when you're dehydrated, not a good thing to drink. Nope. And then, not realising the condition that I was in, thinking I was just over-caffeinated, I then did the 15-minute walk to the beach to go and do a bit more sunbathing. Got there after buying a hat to protect my face because I was really struggling. Lay down on the beach for about 5 minutes, if that. Drank an entire litre of water in that time. and then suddenly realised I was not okay. And I rushed back to my hostel. I say rushed, like I'd sort of staggered back, being quite dizzy and dehydrated, and realised I had sunstroke.
Right.
Quite badly on my birthday. And I'd gone away. This whole holiday was for my birthday, and so I just had to abandon the whole day, spend it indoors in a room with no windows, by myself. And I get quite emotional when I'm tired or ill.
Yeah.
And then I just thought I'd watch Scrubs. Like, yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun day.
Yeah.
And so I watched about 6 hours of Scrubs that led to that episode, and it just broke me as a person. Like, I absolutely just broke down. It was awful.
Oh.
I think I emerged from the room like with tears streaming down my face. And I had the worst birthday ever. But after a while, it got hilariously bad. So I started getting good spirits about it.
Yeah.
But man,
That kind of backfired.
That's what Scrubs can do to me.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think if you grabbed anybody on the street and asked them about Scrubs, I mean, it's quite well known. But generally is well known as, it will be it's a comedy show, right? Yeah, and it is, and it is very funny, but it does take these, I don't want to say dark turns, but there are moments that really they're really deep, they're really dramatic, and if you're not in the right state of mind when you start watching, and especially if you're there, I'm just going to watch this to cheer me up.
Yeah,
it's like even the one where his Dr. Cox's brother-in-law, which is Brendan Fraser, isn't it? The actor that's doing it, and like that whole thing with him. Again, spoilers, guys. Of him dying. There's just all, and he's like thinks he's at his son's party, but he's actually at the funeral. Mm-hmm. Just all of there's some crazy moments in that show. But
yeah, God, it really is.
Just to lighten the mood for everybody listening who just crashed their car on the way to work. There's a lot of really nice, fun, kind of light episodes. I really like the Wizard of Oz one, where...
See, no, normally I don't like a Wizard of Oz episode or film of something because I feel like it gets really overdone, but Scrubs is the exception.
It's because it sneaks up on you.
It does, yeah. They do it quite creatively, I find.
You really don't realise until, like, partway through, oh, hold on a second. Now I see where this is going. And then, like, at the end, it is full on. They're, like, kind of going down the yellow brick road. But initially, there's just these little hints coming through until it becomes very obvious. But I do like the way they've worked in. It's like also musical episodes I don't really like. On a show, you've got a show going on, and it's like, oh, we're going to do a musical one. And you're like, oh, really? Have you run out of ideas? But even the way they did that was really inventive.
It was, yeah. Well, it was hilarious, really.
Yeah. But it's a good show. Is there any characters then that you don't like? Oh, let's put it that way. Let's
okay.
A bit negative. Or anyone who just when they turn up, you're like, always.
I don't think so, really. Everyone's good in their way. Everyone's got their moments. Some people can be a bit dry at times. Like Carla can be. She's not always the funnest, and she'll come in and they might try and do a skit and it doesn't quite land. But I mean, even now, she's great.
Yeah,
they're all really well written, very lovable characters, I find.
What's your opinion on the Laverne dying and coming back?
It's weird,
and that he just calls her Laverne again.
Yeah, yeah. That was great, but it was weird that she was just back for like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Like she didn't come back as a regular. She just came back, and there was no joke other than Laverne again. I just find it really weird. In one of the episodes I just watched now, in season 8, in the final season, one of the little flashback jokes, they did a flashback to season 1, but it was completely new material, so they had to react it. And Laverne was in it, and so I guess they got her back for that, but she was still playing Laverne. Her coming back and being someone else, just weird. I didn't really like that.
Yeah. Was there any? So that's something. You mentioned the flashbacks, and probably one of the, I would say, tropes, or one of the things it's most known for is JD's little sort of fantasies where he he goes off into his own head. Any favourite fantasies or any of those little scenes that you think, oh, that's a brilliant one? I love the one where they're Batman and Robin.
Yes, and
then he's
JD's
Alfred.
Robin.
Yeah.
He's like, holy smokes, Batman. Well, what are such a low self-esteem that I'm the sidekick of my own fantasy.
It could be worse. You could be the butler.
Yeah. Damn you, sir. God, I know Scrubs too well.
So I don't think you can know it too well. You can know it the right amount of well, and that's all. So your friends big Scrub fans as well, or are you kind of alone in your
I'm not alone in my fandom of it, but none of my friends are bigger fans of Scrubs as I am. They keep wanting me to get to They keep wanting me to watch other shows like Arrested Development and Buffy. Whenever I start talking about Scrubs, they're just, I'd like to say the musical episode or something. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's not a patch on a Buffy musical episode. Or even the Scrubs finale, and just like, oh, just wait till you see Buffy's finale. I'm like, yeah, okay, great, I'll get there. But I don't know, there's always so much to watch, so much content to consume.
Well, especially for you, if you've got to watch a film a week for your podcast as well. So, okay, we've got to address the elephant in the room with regards to Scrubs. So we've mentioned that you do a podcast where you talk about sequels, spin-offs, prequels, and things like that. So there is a sort of 9th season first season of another Scrubs show.
Yeah.
What have you got to tell me about that?
Scrubs Med School.
Yeah. JD's in it, so it's canon.
Have you watched it?
I have watched it, yeah.
Me too.
I'm a completist, so I've watched it all.
I don't know what they were thinking with that. Like, everything in it just doesn't seem right, because they've got a weird mix of the original characters from Scrubs, but only in a way that just makes you want to watch Scrubs, so you have those characters. It just reminds you, hey, there's these people here who aren't the main characters anymore, so enjoy. And then they've just got this new gang of people, including Dave Franco.
Yeah, who I didn't realize at the time was who he was. That he's James Franco's brother.
Yeah, he wasn't that big at the time, but he was still known.
Yeah, but I did like some of the characters. I didn't particularly like his character, to be honest with you, but there were a few of the characters I was like, oh, they are quite good. They would have been good additions to the main show. Yeah,
good B-list characters.
But they don't hold. They can't carry, especially carrying, or maybe they could carry the show that wasn't called Scrubs. But going in with sort of a certain, this is what I'm expecting, and then, even the way the main character, she was kind of JD-ish in that
she really was, but it didn't come across well.
Yeah, and it just sort of seemed like, you're just trying to do the same thing again, but worse. But it's also the fact that he appeared in a couple of the episodes just rubs a little bit of salt in the wound. Sort of, I am here, sort of. So what was it then about Scrubs that sort of first got you in? Because I've tried, my wife loves it. I don't know why when she watched it, she just, from the very beginning, found it hysterical. She really enjoyed it. But I remember long before meeting my wife, when I was just with some friends, when I think it was season 1, first showing on British TV. And I'd sort of seen the first 2 episodes and was like, oh, this is a great show. You've got to watch this. Yeah. And we were on holiday, I think down in Devon or somewhere like that, in a little cabin that we'd kind of rented. And it was like, guys, trust me, watch this show. It's brilliant. And the resentment from them. They did not want to watch this show.
Really?
Yeah, they just were really like, this isn't funny. We don't like this. So what was it for you then that, particularly the first season, let's say, what just immediately drew you in to say, oh, this is definitely worth my time?
I think it's just the wacky humour that initially got me. There were a few people, so I started watching this when I was in school, when I was like 14 or so. Yeah, no, there were a few people in school who I looked up to who just were quoting Scrubs all the time, and their personal humour was entirely based off Turk and JD. I guess that when I watched it, I just straight away associated it with them, knew a fair amount of the jokes already just from them, and it just fitted really well with me.
Oh, it's interesting how, so I think it's probably the opposite then, because I was younger than these other guys. So when I'm sort of saying, you've got to watch this, they were very dismissive. Whereas if you sort of already know that people like it, you're looking for it, kind of, well, I wonder what it is then that is so good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were, the reason I mentioned the Scrubs Med one is we're going to steal a little bit from your podcast. So one of the things you kind of pitch sequels or spin-off ideas. How would you have done it if, let's say you only had a limited amount of the original cast that were willing to come back, or maybe none at all. They want to keep it going somehow. So they went through this kind of med school route. What would you have done? How would you have continued the legacy?
Okay, well, knowing that med school didn't work or wasn't going to work,
that is an advantage you have over them. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So if I were to make another one now, the rule that we always do, by the way, is that the sequels we make they come out now.
Right.
So if an actor is dead, then you can't cast them, and you need to account for people's age and whereabouts people are in their career, sort of thing. But whatever. I think if I were to make it now, oh god, I really don't know. A film would be ideal.
A Scrubs film. Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's probably more likely to happen as well than it would be that or a Netflix series, wouldn't it? That would be the sort of the two things that are kind of pulling shows back at the moment are either they get a film or Netflix just throws some money at them. And
yeah, I think it'd have to be a film. I mean, it's set, 10 years later, wherever it is. Scrubs finished 2010, so 8 years later, and just catching up where the characters are now. Maybe even get Dave Franco in.
Oh,
I don't know, just for...
Do we have to? Can you just be a patient?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he dies. But catching up where everyone is, where their kids are, because didn't they all have kids?
I guess they did.
Few people with relationships as well. Maybe it could actually be the wedding of JD and Elliot.
Yeah, because they didn't get married at the end, did they?
No, it was only the fantasy of it in the finale.
And I mean, and then I think they were together in
med school.
Yeah, but I don't know if they were actually.
She was pregnant in med school.
Yes,
and that's one of the things that really annoyed me. Like, why do they just gloss over something such a big part of their relationship? The two of them being pregnant.
Yeah, that's true. Especially as, again, it's not a huge thing if you're coming in with that as season one, but if you're coming to that after 8 seasons, sort of seeing this rivalry turn to relationship, turn to on again, off again, then not happening is happening. It sort of there's a little bit more weight to it than just this is this one and this is his girlfriend. Oh, she's pregnant, and okay, move on. Well, hold on. What? I had a question form in my mind and then disappear, but going to get it back. When you mentioned James Franco, I was going to say, so there have been quite a number of cameos throughout Scrubs. Any notable ones that stand out in your mind?
Yeah, Colin Farrell. He came in. It was in an earlier season, like 3 maybe. He came in just playing this Irish, really super aggressive guy, and he was saying that he was in here with his brother, who was a guy who was knocked out from a head injury, and then the episode sort of unfolds like everyone loves this guy, the Colin Farrell guy, and he's super attractive, and he's just like the best guy. But then it turns out he put that other guy in the hospital, like he punched him in the head, and sent him into a coma or something. And there's a whole little arc that he has about people kicking him out of the hospital, and then he still turns up, and they almost get security, and he's like, "Hey man, I put him in here. Like I need to be by his side just to make sure he's all right." And then eventually the guy does wake up, and Colin Farrell is there or something, and and the guy says, "Oh yeah, sorry man, like I threw the first punch, I deserved it," and it's just completely amicable and lovely, and I really liked that. I thought as cameos go in a show, he had one of the better ones.
Yeah, because there were some that were quite. It's interesting the way they use actors in different ways. Because you've got one like that. Then you'd have a couple that would come in and have quite kind of, I don't want to say like major roles, but they'd have quite some authority within the hospital or something. I'm thinking of Michael J. Fox. When he was in it, and even Courtney Cox when she comes in and sort of takes
That's
over.
one thing I was going to say earlier. So when I had that little advert coming up saying Friends finale next week, as soon as that happened, you keep seeing Friends characters just turn up in the show.
Yeah,
it's like Chandler comes in at one point. He's great. He's like a pilot or something, or an airport controller. I'm not sure. And obviously Monica comes in later as the chief of medicine. Gunther comes in as Dr. Cox's therapist at one point.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few others, but yeah, it's great to see how these, like, one show ended and then some of the characters just went into the next big show.
Yeah, I love the Courtney Cox one when she just calls out Dr. Cox on his name.
Yeah.
Dr. Cox.
Oh yeah.
Ridiculous name.
Why have I not ever got that before? Oh my god, I'm such an idiot.
But then I was thinking there were other cameos like Billy D. Williams. His work, like,
oh yeah,
he just shows up as
himself.
Yeah, as was he like the godfather of I can't remember the actress name now. My wife will kill me because she loves all that kind of poppy music stuff. I want to say Mandy Moore or something like that. Oh, anyway, JD's girlfriend at the time, and and it's like how to win Turk over. He's my best friend. He's very protective, and then it's just Billy D. Lando. Oh. Yeah. So they've had like big names pass through.
Oh yeah.
But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were actually talked about Scrubs for a bit, and they said they actually made the comparison to like Scrubs and Friends with regards to cameos, and Friends as well had kind of everybody and anybody pass through and make a cameo in Friends because it was such a big show, but they didn't always do anything with them. Like
no, yeah.
Whereas I feel like anyone who kind of showed up in Scrubs, they had a bit of time to shine and just to kind of put an impact on the show, even if they were only there for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that was probably the first thing I'd seen Michael J. Fox in like a long time since
since Back to the Future.
Yeah, well, since kind of the Parkinson's sort of thing came out, and then he was just doing a lot of voice work, so you'd see him quite often voicing roles. But it was quite strange to suddenly see him like in person again and be like, and he did such a good job because we have OCD, so he's like, it's just good episodes. Any episodes you really didn't like then?
Yes. So I did actually skip an episode a couple of weeks ago. There's one in season 7 where it's kind of a bottle episode, but also not. So the whole episode is Dr. Cox reading a storybook to his son, reading a story to his son. Jordan comes in and says, like, you can't make it about the hospital, because he just comes in and starts saying, well, there's this doctor called JD and he's awful, whatever. So he makes up character names for them, and then we see this episode play out. The entire episode it's medieval, and everyone's come ye, and oh man, it was really bad.
Yeah.
I didn't see how many there were, but this one was directed by Zach Braff. I'm not sure if there's many that are directed by Zach Braff. I've really not been keeping an eye out for it, but this time round I just had to skip it.
Wow.
I find it a really bad episode. If a show is going to have like a dodgy season, this one's dodgy season was season 7, definitely. It didn't really have any hard hitting episodes and had like I said, he had that dodgy one, had one or two others that didn't quite land, and nothing major really happened in it.
Yeah, so that's the season to skip if somebody's
pretty much, yeah.
If you you're not got a lot of time, you need to get to the end. Just skip season 7, go straight into 8.
Pretty much, yeah. And eight's got its ups and downs. Like some bits of it are really good. Obviously, the finale, like I say, but other bits of it, there's not that much going on sometimes. Like in the first 5 episodes, Carla's not even in it.
Yeah, I remember thinking if they'd actually like got rid of her or something. It's always funny, isn't it, with shows, because at times you're like, a character won't be there, and there might be like an in-universe explanation, and you're always wondering, is something happened behind the scenes? Is there some contract issue, or is there something going on? And then like maybe they appear in a flashback, or they appear in anything. Well, hold on a second. I mean, I get that that's a flashback for us, but that's a new scene that's been filmed, so the person's still around. So what's going on? Where are these people?
Yeah, it's weird.
But
she wasn't the only one. Like Turk's been written out of a few episodes of season 8, and a few others. Although there was at one point a bottle episode where it's just Turk and JD in this in his hospital room with an old man who's gonna die that evening, and they're just sort of coaching him through what it means to die. And man, the episode gets very philosophical.
There's a few episodes as well that I'm trying to think which season, because there's one season where he's got the patient with cancer, and she's gonna have to go through. So they all shave their heads, and JD like doesn't want to shave his head because he's met a girl who just loves his hair.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then at the end he does shave his head, and he comes in and it's sort of next episode, full head of hair.
Yeah.
Jump ahead another episode or two, no hair because he'd shaved his head. It was a little bit. I remember at that time.
You're thinking Dr. Cox, actually. You said JD, but I've noticed this one a few times around. It's Dr. Cox.
But I'm gonna disagree.
Because like hold on, because I remember it. His hair gets really big and curly.
I remember that he shaves his head, but that's just him like just doing it because he wants to cut his hair. But this was specifically because he gave like a big speech about how we all got to rally around and support her because she was going to lose her hair as part of the chemotherapy, and somebody offered, it was because it was Dr. Cox who offered to shave everybody's hair, so he is there with the razor, very happy to shave JD's hair, and he's kind of trying to constantly get out of it, and then he gets sort of guilted into, hey, you said we've got to support her, but you're not doing it. But I just remembered watching it and being like, okay, at the end he shaved his head, and I would have been fine if next episode he had hair again, and then it just kind of never came back. But it was just that it jumped ahead an episode or two, and then suddenly it was like, oh, because I shaved my hair because my patient is going through it. I was like, hold on a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, it was all a bit mixed up.
Yeah.
There was also a mix up at the start of season 8, because season 7 finishes with a shot of JD holding his baby, and Elliot is holding JD's baby, and JD's there, and it's a really sweet romantic shot. Like they're both single at this point, and it's just the two of them there looking like a couple holding a baby, and it's really sweet. And that's how the series finishes. Season 8 picks up an offhanded comment from Elliot. She's talking about JD, and then she says to one of the interns, "Oh, we started dating again, by the way, but don't tell anyone," or whatever. And then a few episodes later, there's a whole episode about the two of them getting together, because apparently they'd been acting like a couple, but not actually announcing to each other that they're a couple, and they're not kissing, not having sex, but they're doing everything else that couples do. And Dr. Kelso sort of coaches them through it, just like, hey, you two are a couple, just be a couple. Why not? Just talk about it. And again, another great episode. I really enjoyed it, but just a bit of a continuity issue there, where at the start of the season they mess it up.
I do like that at times you think, a character is gone. I think you mentioned Kelso, and obviously he has to retire at one point. And so you're like, oh, okay, we've lost him. He was, a fun character. He's gone now. And then he basically just moves into that cafe that they open next to the hospital.
Yeah.
He's there all the time. and the guy that gets kicked out because he's trying to think what his name was, Cabbage.
Oh yeah.
And then you see him working there, and it's nice. All these sort of little, the way they've got characters, they get rid of them, but they find a way to bring them back in another role or have them somewhere else where they can still play off against them, which is, it's such a good show when you think about it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go and watch some soon. To break out the DVD player, that's the problem.
Well, good, do it. Just take a day and just
binge every season.
Yeah,
I need more than a day. Yeah. So if you were gonna recommend to someone, this show, how would you pitch it to them as like, this is why you need to watch it? What would be so would you pitch it as, it's really funny, or would you be more, it's got some comedy, but it's really dramatic?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would say. Like I can only describe it as a medical comedy drama. It's got a lot more drama than Friends does, and I think the humor is much stronger as well. It's like a refined version of Friends.
A refined version of Friends. I'm going to write that down.
And so, like, Friends was the trial series. Obviously, Friends is much more successful. Friends was the trial series, and then Scrubs is the finished product. Because if you compare the two, the humor in Friends, a lot of it doesn't land. But then the humor in Scrubs, almost all of it does land. Like I said, in one or two misses. I say the characters in Scrubs way more engaging. You feel much closer to them all. Scrubs has got a good level of wackiness that Friends tries to do with Joey, but a lot of it just comes off in a bit of an insulting way sometimes. And also, Friends has dated really badly. Like, it got released on Netflix, I think was it last year? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then suddenly loads of people noticed, hey, this show is awful. Like, it's really sexist, really homophobic, and everyone loves it for some reason. And Scrubs, it walks the line sometimes. Like, it's got some completely sexist characters. I know that they're written that way intentionally, like Dr. Kelso.
I was thinking,
but I don't think that it can get away with saying, oh, the character's just written that way, unless you've got another character to bounce off them well enough to say, hey, that's not all right. If you're making a point about it, yeah, that's great. But if you're just doing it for humor, where, oh, it's funny because he's old and he's sexist and racist, then that doesn't work so much.
Yeah,
I'm going off on one here, and I don't know what my point is.
No, it's fine. I think you're right, because they do, because I think there is that episode right at the beginning where Elliot calls him out on it. I've noticed you, you refer to the women like this, but the men like that, and it's I think, yeah, it's not just, oh, well, he's doing this and it's okay. He does get kind of called out on it, or it's extremely kind of exaggerated in the case of the Todd, who.
Oh yeah.
But again, everyone around, it's not like everybody around him knows that that's not right. What you're doing. That's so yeah.
I think the way they use the Todd is actually, I think that one's really good, because that's sort of calling attention to people's behaviours in a good way. Whereas to compare it to Friends, if you look at Ross in Friends, so many of the things that he does and says, they're just not okay, and there's no one to call him out on it either.
Yeah, and he's kind of considered to be the level-headed one of the particular of the three men, isn't he? Sort of,
yeah, certainly.
He's the the educated one who's got this, he's got a doctorate. He's sort of the one in the know, but actually, it seems maybe not. Yeah. There was we just made a comparison and something. I thought something, and again, just run away with me. But it was probably something about the Todd. I was just thinking about the relationships as well, because within Friends there was sort of some of them kind of got together, some of them, it just, and there was the whole, obviously the famous Ross and Rachel kind of on again off again situation. But I think the relationships within Scrubs they're a lot deeper, I suppose, because you've got sort of what happens with Dr. Cox and Jordan, and
Mm-hmm.
we're introduced to her as his kind of crazy ex-wife. But you see sort of this relationship rekindle, and how they do need each other, and then they end up kind of having a family. I think is it season 8 or season 7 where he's kind of wearing the wedding ring again, and he's like happy to have his family sort of unit. Then you've got Turk and Carla that sort of begin this relationship at the very beginning, and he's kind of very jock frat boy kind of attitude at the beginning, and then again you see the growth of him and them as a couple, even the difficulty to actually kind of marry her, and keeps getting turned down when he's proposing and stuff. So you do see sort of a growth within the relationships, whereas I feel like with something like Friends, it was more of in a relationship or not in a relationship, but once you're in, okay, they're in a relationship, that's it. There wasn't a degree within. It didn't feel like a real kind of thing.
You're right. Like as soon as Monica and Chandler get together, the next thing that happens in their relationship at all is they get engaged, and then the next thing they get married, and then they're trying for a baby. And the worst part of their relationship, as in the only negative thing, is that they can't actually have children together. And it's a bit hard hitting, but it's nothing in comparison to in Scrubs, where Cara had their first child, and then she gets super depressed afterwards.
Yeah, she goes full postpartum.
Which it's not really the sort of thing you see that often. And I really appreciated that. And yeah, Dr. Cox and Jordan, it's an incredible relationship that they've got there. It's you don't see stuff like that in many other TV shows.
I think she's definitely one of my favorite sort of. I don't even know. Yeah, I suppose she's kind of a B character, but I've just found like any time she turned up, it was always interesting and fun. And
always a good time. Yeah.
Particularly at the beginning when she was sort of, it was more when she turned up, and then towards the end she was there a lot more. But initially it was just she'd come, drop a bomb, and walk away. Yeah. So normally by now, probably 20 minutes ago, I would have handed over to you if you had any questions for me. But I've shared a lot of my feelings on Scrubs anyway. It's been really nice.
Yeah, I've enjoyed talking about it.
So do you have any questions for me about your topic, that in this case is Scrubs?
Not much. Well, only a few things that you've asked me, like your favourite character, your favourite actor, your favourite episodes, maybe.
Yeah. So I think I do. As I say, I quite like that episode. If we're going for the kind of tragic one, I thought the one where when with Dr. Cox's brother-in-law, and sort of the fact that JD does that whole thing in his mind where it all goes well. And it's like, they've made a mistake before, they've made a mistake again. This is a mistake, and he sort of goes through the whole thing, and then obviously it's not a mistake. He really is. What was it they had? I was trying to think if I've said cancer. I don't think it was. I think it was. Leukemia. Leukemia. Yeah. And then I said I quite liked the Wizard of Oz episode that just snuck up on it, and I quite liked the episode where it's not even so much for the episode. I can't actually remember which episode it is now, but basically it's when everybody has that little fantasy about if they'd married Elliot.
Oh yeah.
And you just sort of see what Dr. Cox thinks, and you see what Turk thinks, and what JD was. I know JD at the end is just like regrets it, doesn't he? He's like, it could have been me. So it would have been when Keith proposed to her. That's the episode.
That was it. Yes, yeah.
And I just love the janitor. He just imagines sort of like 3 boys all in overalls with mops, 3 girls, blonde hair, clipboard, white coat. Brilliant. Yeah.
The janitor's great. I'd love to see him, like the character, the actor Neil Flynn. I'd love to see him write some stuff.
Yeah, I liked that. I did like amazing. That was probably the best bit of. I think that was in Scrubs Med. Was maybe episode 1 when JD just asks, like, what happened to the janitor? And there's just this little flashback of he comes into work the next day. Hey, where's JD? Oh, he left. He's not here anymore. And he just drops them off and leaves. Oh, he is probably the unsung hero of that show, isn't he? He probably is my favourite character. As much as I'd say JD, I just think the janitor, every scene he's in, he really kind of steals the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think there is any character in the show that you could take out and the show would still be as good?
Oh, that's a good question.
You can say no.
Well, I feel like the challenge has been thrown down. Probably only someone like the Todd or someone like that who is funny, but his kind of impact is a little bit contained scene to scene, so it doesn't I don't think it wouldn't be as, probably the show wouldn't be as funny. You'd lose something, but it would still all work. You could have another character there in nearly any of those scenes. I'm not a huge fan of Carla, as you, but she does need to be there because she provides a lot of the.
She's the moral high ground of everything. She's everyone's conscience.
She's the den mother. She loves it.
Yeah, she's half of Turk and Carla. Very important. Yeah.
Good.
I still don't think there's not one of the A characters at all that you can take out and this show would still work. Maybe Dr. Kelso.
Yeah.
I think he's the closest one that you could take out and the show would still work.
Yeah, I suppose he just needs to be almost it could just be anybody's voice coming through, because occasionally he'll put in a rule or a procedure that needs to be followed, and that will be kind of the catalyst for an episode. But that could have been a fax that came through or an email or whatever to do the thing. I did another episode that I really enjoyed was the rock band episode where they did what was it? I want to say Air Band.
Oh yeah.
And Turk kind of gets a little bit of an ego boost and challenges Kelso and his banding. That's great. And that was when he delivered that line, like, it's good to be the king kind of thing. That was, he got some good lines, but I agree that he's probably not the most fundamental character within the story.
No, he's not. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of proven in season 8 where he just becomes a B character. Like, he's there sometimes, but he does almost nothing.
Yeah. Although he did, I'm sure it was him, that there's a scene in one of the episodes. This is now delving into my personal life here. So my wife's name's Rochelle, which anyone who listened to episode 1 would know. And there's an episode when he's talking about his wife and how she sort of say, "Oh, you took my best years and you just left me a burnt out shell." And he's like, "And now I call her Shell." And we were watching that together, and then from then on I was like, right, Shell it is. That's
wow, that is harsh.
Yeah, but I found that so fun because I was kind of always calling her Shell anyway.
Okay.
So it just, when it came up, it was like, oh, brilliant. That's
gave it meaning.
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes you'll find something funny for a completely unrelated reason, but yeah. Or there was another scene I loved of his when he's hiding and he's just standing against the wall where there's like a picture of him. Like, "Bob, I can see you. I'm physically touching you now."
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So he had some great moments. Brilliant. Well, we've talked for almost an hour on Scrubs. How many episodes could we have watched in that time? Well, so some people at home have either listened through to all of this, well done, or halfway through decided just to watch an episode of Scrubs. So I don't know which one would have been more enjoyable, but I did enjoy talking about it. So just before we wrap up, we've mentioned it a couple of times already, but you've got your podcast, Beyond the Box Set.
Yep.
Where can people find that?
It's pretty much everywhere. Beyond the Box Set on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit. You can find the podcast itself on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we're probably there. And if we're not, then send us a little message and we'll be on there.
Brilliant. And I will put a link in the description below if you do want to find that and you're too lazy to type it in yourself. Just leaves us to wrap up here. So obviously, if you want to contact me, you can do so at aconversationwithpod@gmail.com. or Twitter and Instagram. We're at ACW Pod. We also have the Patreon going as well. That's patreon.com/aconversationwith. Some bonus content should be on there already. So if anybody's interested in that, head on over there and you can just throw a little bit of money my way and get to enjoy some nice bonus content. So we want to thank Harry once again for joining us, and hopefully in the future maybe get you back on for another topic. Sure you've got
cool.
lots. And I'm happy to have managed to make it with a different guest each week. So I don't know how long that trend's going to continue. Probably not that long, but
with that attitude, then maybe. But come on, have some faith.
I should have more faith. Yeah, a lot of people said it wasn't going to happen. Mostly it was me, but I've proved myself wrong. So well done. Okay, so we'll wrap it up here. So we hope to see everybody next week for the next episode of A Conversation With. So thank you and goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.